Yeah. Grind to get a lot of dough and dirt through all the obstacles, cause anything is possible. Yeah. Oh man, I got a lot of goals. Stack that bread and by my nose. Anything is possible.
Greetings and welcome everybody to episode 4 of the Equity Brothers with my beautiful co-host, Josh Goodwin.
It's questionable.
And I'm William Wilson. Y'all beautiful inside out. You look good.
I appreciate
that. I love to spread energy and positivity too. So yeah, shout out to Eli. He's behind the scenes.
Speaking of looking good, the studio has transformed this week and it looks amazing. So
hey,
Eli,
man,
appreciate you.
Yeah, cheers to Eli. It does look fantastic in here. This is really professional, man. Yeah, shout out to Eli. It's a drive to Alabama. Y'all live in Alabama out here, but
we got Nashville Barrel Company though, so not quite Alabama.
Shout out to Nashville. Yeah, we're not in Alabama.
We are in the Williamson County area, south of Nashville. So today we are going to get into team building, what it looks like to build a business, and we know that any successful business functions like a team. And if you've been a part of a team or on a team, even if you've been a part of a bad team, you know the things that it takes and the things that are detrimental to growing that. So
correct.
On our journey for entrepreneurship and wealth building, if you're looking to start a business, create your own business, create your own wealth, at some point you're going to be the leader. You're going to be the leader of the team. You're going to have a team that's going to support you and help you make that money. So we are going to dive into that. William has some great experience with building his business, building his team. I will talk about my past with building basketball teams and as a coach, as well as being on teams, successful teams long term, and just some of the pitfalls with that, as well as some of the successful things that we took into account and that helped us grow. So just to start, I want William to speak about his journey, really kind of starting his real estate company and going from a one-person show to how many people are on your team now?
Man, so overall, it's like 11 of us total.
So that takes quite a bit of build out. And there may be a lot of real estate professionals that are looking to either start their own brokerage, start their own team within somebody else's brokerage. Yeah. And there's a ton of questions that come along with that. So talk to us about how you started, why you started, and kind of how that journey went along.
Yeah, man. So one, I would start with saying everybody thinks that starting your own company or starting our brokerage is just like way more difficult than it really is. I think that was my first hurdle because I got my broker's license. And for those that don't know, for you to start your own company, you have to have a broker's license. So I got my broker's license in 2020, early 2020. And I didn't actually, to show you how scared and weak I was, it took me until October 22 to actually start the brokerage. So like I was sitting with it for a while. But I think it's that you just have to jump off the porch is the easiest thing to say. I mean, and you have to get rid of all the anxiety and fears. So like, and the reason I say that is because everybody has their own thing that's going to hold them back. Like regardless of what it is, something is there that's going to be in the back of your head, whether it be a parent, a spouse, the internet, friends, something. People are always going to have something there. And you really have to just swallow that, silence that noise, and then move forward.
I think that's a natural reaction, right? Is if you're going to start anything, if you're going to go out on your own, it is scary. It's being scared to take that jump because it's all on you. When you're starting your own, it is all on you.
Yeah, and another thing is leaving that 9 to 5 too. That is terrifying. But Brand, what's the craziest thing that I would say is that I looked up and I was like a year from leaving the 9 to 5, and I was like, I was scared the whole time. Then I was like, damn, I can do this. Like, you don't really know you can fly till you jump out the nest. But it's a lot of anxiety. It is a lot of anxiety, not knowing, especially in our industry. Like it's a lot of unknowns, a lot of variables. Like we can't determine the economy. We can't determine pretty much anything that has to do with like our buyer patterns, like, and that's another thing too, which is why I'm kind of like obsessed with like digging and investing in other locations because of the uncertainty in the real estate career.
Right.
So that makes me want to say, look, I want to invest here, I want to invest there, dump money here. But initially, man, I would say what I would have done is I should have got my broker's license in 2020 and jumped off the porch in 2020 instead of sitting with it for 2 years.
Well, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
I was talking about 2020.
Yeah, no, facts.
It's never a thing where you're going to look back and say, I wish I would have done less. You always wish you would have done more.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we should look back and put negative light on what you did, because you took the step and then you executed on that step. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that. I know I get stuck in that personally. Like I have a ton of great ideas, and then it's the execution.
Yeah.
Whether you choose to go and
That's
execute or you stay scared and you're worried about what could happen instead of celebrating what could happen.
And worrying about what other people think too is major. So when I do talk to people about their goals or aspirations, a lot of it has to do with their perception of others on them, and that inhibits their growth a ton. I see that all the time, and I can say the same. It did inhibit me too, because I even had family members in my ear, like, what are you gonna do? The real estate market's horrible. People say that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, what happens if you never sell another house? Like, people love to dig into the negative side too, and that's why you have to have your own vision and realize too. Another thing, man, is that when you jump off the porch into any type of career, you shouldn't look at the losing side of it. You should outwork everybody and set your own destiny. So even if, let's hypothetically say it's 1,000 brokerages out here that are not selling anything, like that could be true, but that's not who I'm going to be. And for me to put that in play, that's where you got to work your ass off consistently. But that's another pattern. Is it's so easy to look at the negative side of business.
So would you say that step number one is having the confidence? You got to have the knowledge. You got to have the education.
Correct.
But then having the confidence in yourself and then in what you're doing.
Yeah, confidence is first. And once you get the confidence, that internal confidence, where you can overcome all the outside noise, that's when you have to have a goal. Like a real business plan, like an executive summary for yourself, your company, and then you hold yourself accountable. Explain
executive summary for those who may not know what you're speaking about.
So this is and I'll give you my blueprint on what I did. So in 2020, I had a plan. Like I had a plan I started like probably back in 2018. I was like, I want to do this step. So the first thing, and this is actually like real, like quick, high level, because I don't want to talk too much. My first plan was my broker's license, right? Outside of my, smaller, like intricate type of real estate goals of hitting this number and hitting this amount, it was get my broker's license. After the broker's license, I wanted to go start immediately is have a team, right? Have a team under Corey's company. Take that team to my own brokerage. So I had 3 agents. I had 3 agents on the team. From there, it was let's execute a plan. So the executive summary comes into play where I said, and this is actually what the bank taught me. I went to the bank and I just started like brainstorming with the bank. And this is, I think, what every business owner should do initially is you go to the bank. One, you get your LLC, right? Which I know that's so cliche. Everybody's like, oh shit, LLC, blah, blah, blah. But it really is mandatory. You go to the LLC, you get your EIN number, your articles of organization, all of that. Take that to the bank. I leveraged a loan, a business loan, business credit card, business line of credit. And that's just to get the company started, right? Like that. And at least now we have a safety net to fall on. We leverage that. And I'm building relationships with this bank now, right? So they gave me like $20,000 line of credit. I use 4K here, 3K. I pay it right back. They'll increase that credit line, exponentially now, right? When they can see, hey, I have an actual business. And this is a whole nother side where people, and this doesn't have to actually just correlate to real estate. It could be any business.
Absolutely.
You can go leverage relationships with banks and get a lot of overhead covered immediately. And as long as you can get it paid back.
Banks are incredibly important. But I think being a business owner, being a team leader, relationships in general, are extremely important. Correct. The banks are their own their own thing, but
Right.
relationships with in real estate, it's builders, it's lenders, it's
Correct.
title companies, it's insurance, it's a million different things we could talk about. So having the confidence, being able to build relationships and consistently build on those relationships,
Right.
so that you're providing something to them,
Right.
but you're also getting something in return
Correct.
from them. I think those are very important factors.
Relationships are major.
And it really dictates our business start to finish.
Yeah.
One thing that you did say that I want to kind of go back to is when we were talking about confidence, you spoke about understanding the market and people saying, what if?
Yeah.
What if you don't do this? What if? I think it's important when you're starting a business to not just say, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And this is plan A and there is no plan B. And there's two different ways to go about that. I think you can say, I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to be in this industry and that is my sole focus and there is no plan B. I think that's healthy.
You do? You believe it?
I think it's healthy to put all your eggs in one basket in terms of betting on yourself.
Okay.
I think it's unhealthy when you are stuck on one path with one outcome. It's similar to when we talked about investing in real estate.
Yeah,
You have to have multiple exit strategies.
Yeah, correct.
If you only have one exit strategy, you can get burnt. You can get killed in that.
That's what I've seen. I've seen that with agents.
So be able to adapt.
Correct.
I think as a business owner, you have to be able to adapt. If you're not
Yes.
willing to adapt to the market, you're not willing to adapt to
You gotta adjust.
the location, you're not willing to adapt to personalities, you're not willing to adapt to your team.
Yeah.
That's where you can kind of fall off the edge.
Yeah.
And then things get negative, and then you start to hear everything that everybody said before. They were right. They said this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Instead of,
That's
you know what,
real.
something happened, I'm going to adjust.
Yeah.
I'm going to adapt and I'm going to be better. I'm not leaving real estate. I'm not leaving trucking. I'm not leaving CBD. I'm not leaving the medical office. I'm not leaving medical sales. I'm adapting to what is happening in that current market,
Right.
and I'm succeeding.
Right.
So it's not being stuck on, this is the only way I'm going to succeed. I'm going to be a buyer's agent, and I'm going to be a buyer's agent only, and I'm only going to sell homes between this price. You can run yourself out of business that way.
Easily.
And if you refuse
Easily.
to adapt and change and you refuse to make those things happen, you can get yourself in trouble. So I wanted to step back and touch that.
No, that's very true. Because if you build like an ironclad, let's say, I don't want to talk about the submarine. Let's say like a bubble, right? When you do stumble and fall.
Did you say you don't want to talk about the submarine?
Well, I was going to say like an ironclad, like submarine, right? If you, let's use this analogy. If it is a submarine, right, and that's your business. When you do have low months or low quarters, you have chinks in your armor, and all of that doubt from everybody else will seep into that, and you can get flooded or implode. You know, that's facts. You can.
yeah,
And that's
don't
why-
use a PlayStation controller.
Yeah, facts. You don't want to use that. That was like a game. That was really nuts, man. I mean, like not to talk about that. Rest in peace to those people, but that was crazy. And one of the wildest things about that is I watched one girl go down there in that submarine or submersible, whatever it is, and it looked like it was just on TV. Like when they were inside, why wouldn't they just watch it on TV? What kind of thrill? How bored of life are you when you need to seek out that kind of thrill?
Well, there's things you do when you get money that aren't explainable, and that was one of them.
It's no amount of money that can make me hop in a.
I mean, listen, we're taking two very different subjects and we're going to merge them into one. But you talk about avoiding warning signs and thinking that there's only one path to do things and you're not going to adjust.
Yeah.
That was the epitome of I'm not changing. I will not delay. And I will go down this path.
Maybe they're martyrs. Maybe they thought they were going out as martyrs, though.
I doubt that. There's not that many billionaires signing up to be martyrs. But
And
we digress.
here's the thing, too. Conspiracy theory. I think they faked that. I don't really think they died. I think they faked their death.
I'm not jumping.
I think that they
down that rabbit
probably
hole with
had
you.
like some taxes, something. They were escaping something.
This is now turning into
Well,
conspiracy
I'm
theory
just saying,
episode.
it's something to discuss. They're running. Listen, you take all that money. You're right. How many billionaires? Those 5 people,
I believe.
6 people, and a 19-year-old, and they hop on and they just disappear in the ocean.
It's questionable at best.
I mean, look, it doesn't make that much sense to me.
It doesn't at all.
Like if you would have gone down there one, I would have been like, oh, the whole thing is fake. Josh dipped off. Josh is in Dubai. he's gone. You know what I mean? Like I bet their boys are somewhere saying, oh yeah, Hal ducked off somewhere in the
Why's
coast.
it got to be
like,
Hal?
That's just a nice
All
rich
right.
white man name, man. Like it just sounds wealthy. I know a rich white man named Hal. That's why I said.
Okay. Right. I do too. This is
See.
So when we get
Let's
back
get-
to
let's get back
to
on
building a team, you've got the confidence, you've got multiple exit strategies, you're willing to adapt,
Right.
You're building relationships. Once you build those relationships and you have the other things in place, now what?
Man, and I really can't stress enough on like leveraging the bank relationship too. A lot of people skip that step because I didn't know that step either. I probably did that like 2 years too late, right? I probably would have scaled a lot faster if I would have known that step. So like, please don't overlook getting your credit accurate, getting your Dun and Bradstreet number, which is your business credit accurate. And getting a nice foundation as a business. A lot of things too, when it's smaller businesses, you don't move like you're supposed to. Like we just really just try to monetize something when you have to invest in yourself initially. So once you have that, and it depends on the business. So mine personally is a people industry. So choosing the correct people to surround yourself with is integral, and it's very difficult too, especially with real estate when the success rate is so small.
You're walking right in to the next aspect.
Yeah. It's hard to find good, hardworking real estate agents that have vision, hustle, tenacity, discipline, willpower, work ethic. All of that. And the thing is, you could correlate that to any business.
Any business. So like my next step is pick your pieces. We can be NBA GMs. We can be the CEO of William Wilson Homes.
Yeah.
How do you pick your pieces?
Yeah. Man, so I think that's a hard a question to answer, because do you ever really figure that out? Like one of the hardest things I talk to a lot of people that manage people, and I always pick their brain. And like the hardest thing for them to do is fire people. But another thing is to hire correctly. So like that, it's like that myriad of it just seems so difficult to me.
Well, we're gonna jump quickly from this one to the next one, and then we're gonna come back and talk about both, because you're hitting my points, and we didn't even talk about these beforehand.
Yeah.
So this is how I know we vibe. We're on the same page all the time. You're talking about having the pieces, and you're talking about having to get rid of people.
Yeah.
There's a gap there.
Yeah.
If you think you're hiring the right people, you shouldn't have to get rid of them. The gap in between there is proper training.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that is training for the culture, whether that's training for the industry, training for the job, skill set training, whatever that may be,
That's hard.
There's a gap there. And part of it is, are you training correctly? And the other part is, are you receptive to training as the person who's being hired? So in your experience, when you have hired people and had to move on from them, or you've hired people and they have excelled, what's been the difference?
Oh man, that's a great question, man. It's a hard question to answer, I'll say. And again, we're speaking specifically towards a real estate company, so I'm sure that this is going to vary per industry, of course. But
a lot of the, I would say, a lot of the core qualities are going to be identical.
I would say, man, the people that I'm around, or the agents that I work with personally that do succeed, one, listen. They listen. And as simple as that is,
2 ears, one mouth.
It's difficult to do. And because, and it is crazy, because I would say this, man, I used to try to like push my agenda on people. I always tell my agents, look, it's certain things you can't escape. You have to have discipline, work ethic. You got to show up every day. Like you can't escape that. And I'm not going to push what made me somewhat successful on you, because that may not always work. But there's a foundation that everybody can't escape. And if I see that they don't do just the foundational work, I know that they can't scale to the next level. But the people that do listen, and if I say, hey, listen, man, I had them listen to a Tom Ferry interview. And it was simple. And one of his quotes was like, you don't see McDonald's, market one day and then take off 3 weeks and then market one day and take off. So I simply say, hey, listen, man, I feel like y'all need to do this. Y'all need to do that. Market, create a plan. I tell everybody, I have this in like a manual I give my agents. I say, look, create your LLC, create your logo, move your real estate company like a business first and foremost. Go get you.
You don't have to move it like a business. It is one.
It is. But that's the thing. I say that because most people think it's a hobby. That's why it's like you should move like you're a real business. Go to the bank, go get you a loan, credit line, business credit card, move like a business. So like if we're like, 3-4 months down the road and they haven't made a website, they haven't opened up a bank account, they haven't applied for any grants, loans, then I see like one, they're not listening. So if you're not going to listen, then it's kind of hard for me to say. And one of the things with me is I just still love giving. Like I love learning and giving. So that's something I've had to learn in 2023. I tried to like tell myself, don't overpour into people that don't want to learn. That's what I'm learning, because I don't want to tell somebody to do something, then like 90 days later, they've done nothing.
Well, I mean, you know what it looks like if you try to pour into a cup that's got a lid on it.
Correct. Yeah. And that's frustrating to me. And it's sad too. Like it really does make me sad. I be in these group chats with them, like texting, pouring. And it's just like, I don't know who's, and that's not everybody, but I've had people leave and I've had people stay and and this is the hard part. It is when there is not a monetary value tied to your work, people don't care about it. So it's hard to wake up every day and say, I'm not going to make any money for 5-6 months, but I'm going to work my ass off every day. Those are the people that succeed when you can overcome that obstacle. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of people, because it's hard to wake up and say, I'm going to post. I'm in a bad mood. My other job is going bad. But like when you can do that consistently, you'll succeed. And this isn't calculus.
Listen, it's a commitment.
Yeah, that's it.
Are you committed to the process?
Right.
Are you committed to the accountability that goes along with the process? And are you committed to working with no results? We've all seen the memes, the pictures with the guy who's got an axe going at the ground, and he stops and the diamond is right next to him.
Right next to him, right.
But he stopped.
And he was turning around, walking the other way.
And that's why I think you have to be fulfilled in the work that you do. Mm-hmm. You have to really believe in that. You have to be committed to it. And you have to have people around you that support you doing that. I'll take it to a sports analogy. When I'm building teams and I'm building a team, you got to have players, right? You got to have great skill sets. You got to have employees who can get it done. But they may not be a good fit because the way they work, the way they communicate, may not fit with what we're doing. But I think it's important that they know and the people surrounding them know that, number one, there's two sets of goals. We've got being a part of my company. We want to make the company successful. It is our job to make this company successful. Mm-hmm. The second part of that is it's my job as the business leader, the team leader, the coach, the GM, whatever it may be. It is my job to help you reach your goals. And we've got to make those two things marry each other and walk with each other. So we need your goals. If you're hitting your goals, it's going to make the business successful. And I think the business being successful needs to help your goals advance personally as well. When those are off kilter and one isn't like, let's say you're charging agents 70% of what they're bringing in. We're doing great for the business.
Right.
We're doing nothing for that individual.
Correct.
And if it's a 100% business with no fees, we can help build up that individual, but we're not building the business. So if you're not building my business, I feel no need to invest in you because you're just concerned about you. So it's marrying those two things where we're going to build a business and we're going to build our personal. It was always my goal as a coach. I want my assistant coaches to learn how to become head coaches. And I want to promote you. I want to help you go get that.
Right.
If you are, as a real estate team owner, if your goal is, hey, I want to teach you, I want to give you the game, but when it comes time and you've done what you need to do, I want to help you start your own team.
Correct.
I want to help you be me and then be better than me. And let's go head to head.
Like, man, that's what I communicate.
If it's after 3 years, you want to slide, start your own company, let me help you do that, right? Because the premise, I don't even like when they say boss. I don't want to be your boss. We could be partners. I don't want to be looked at as a boss to y'all.
It's like coaching trees. Yeah. Everybody gets hype about coaching tree. Like everybody that came from underneath this person. This is such and such coaching
Man,
tree.
that would be so dope if I could say, hey, listen, I got this agent that I worked with. She's out here killing it, having her own brokerage, and she came from under my umbrella. And the same with him. And I'm just like planning. Like, honestly, I mentioned that before online, is that I would love to just have plants, everywhere, that I had a little bit to do with that. Just a little bit. Outside of the monetary value, that would mean the world to me. But and again, that circles all the way back to, and here's something too, man. You have to have some type of intrinsic value. You got to have something in you too. And you could probably correlate this to players, because I'm sure there's some dope basketball players out there that just have something in them that's different, that you can tell, like when they walk in the room, when they walk on a court, something's different about them. And I think that's the same thing with like my industry as well, and with real estate, with finding agents, is because I feel like I could pour everything into people. That some people just may not have it.
Well, let me say this: everybody wants dogs, right?
Yeah.
I need a dog.
Right.
There's two kinds of dogs. Mm-hmm. There's a moldable one, and there's one that is only about themselves. The dog that'll turn on its owner. Yeah. There's two kinds, and you can kind of see that pretty quickly. Like you can use the dog who's only about themselves, but you can build with the dog who's moldable.
What kind of dog you think Kobe was?
He was about himself.
You think so?
100%.
I think he was moldable, man, because Kobe wasn't as talented as everybody on that court.
This is
or
another.
Did he mold himself? He was a Super Saiyan.
He was an alpha dog. You can't have too many alphas, because he was going to make you mold.
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily molded. Now, at 17, 18, 19, he was moldable. But
right.
Beyond that, he was not being molded. He was molding others. Yeah. And you're gonna fit or you're not. And that's the difference between NBA and college high school, where, college high school, your coaches, your team managers, not team managers, but the people who are overseeing athletic directors, they are the molders. When you get to the NBA, you get to professional sports, your athletes become the molders. Your GMs become the people who are just putting pieces in. And if you don't fit, I'm not changing you. You are who you are. We're removing you and bringing somebody else in. Yeah. And so you're talking about different age groups, different, mentalities and things like that. So you got alpha dogs, and then you've got go-getters.
Right.
But are go-getters team first, or are go-getters only here to serve themselves and really undermine the team, and they're gonna fizzle out pretty quick. I think that's an important distinction to make.
It's tough. It's tough because a lot of the people that I've dealt with, like I've met with, now where I'm at, like I do get hit up a decent amount, like probably 2 or 3 times a week. Somebody's like, hey, can I join the team or join the company? And a lot of times it's not, I could just look, and it's not a good fit. So I also will say too, and this is a side note, I've really developed like a pretty nice spirit of discernment, where I could say, I can meet with somebody and ask them like, yo, what's your daily regimen look like? What is this? And see like if we would be a good fit. And it's hard. And like the more I meet with people, which is still time consuming as hell, I realize it's not that many people that really. And then, so here's a caveat to that. When do you know? And this is what my next step of learning, my learning curve. When do you say, I'm gonna take a risk, take a chance, take time away from my family, and pour into this person, and see if they can become who they say they are, when I know they're not that person yet? That's the hardest. That's something I'm learning right now, is how do you know when it's worth that sacrifice?
Well, that's when you start picking pieces. Like you have to. Are you the alpha dog? Because you can have one alpha. 2 alphas is not going to work. Facts. Are you the alpha dog?
Facts.
Or are you more passive and you need to hire an alpha? Mm-hmm. And then who are you placing around them? It's not just, do I hire a whole bunch of the same person? Because that's never going to work. You're going to watch that thing implode quickly. Mm-hmm. If you hire a bunch of the same passive people, you're going to watch nobody take charge, and nobody be the leader, nobody handle training, nobody step up and assert themselves when there's issues coming up. And you're in trouble there. Right. So I think it's so important to pick the right pieces, and then know, like, who's my go-to?
No,
You don't ever want to lose your go-to, but you have a
true.
go-to. We've
Yeah.
talked about this.
Yeah, facts.
So I think in your situation, it is your goal should be to place the pieces around your go-to that are going to serve that person. So that person can be successful, because when that person is successful, it's just like you. When you watch somebody be successful, you want to invest more. You want to grow more. You want to plant more. You want other things to come up. So you've got to do the same thing for that person. Now, that person very well could leave in a couple of years, but you already have the blueprint for how to go and find that next person. It could take a while, but I think placing the pieces underneath people who are important to your success is so vital to the long-term success. You can ride that alpha dog for so long, and then maybe the business dies down.
That's so important. There's the pieces to it.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah, to scale too, man. Which I think we should do. And look, I'm just brainstorming out loud while the cameras are rolling. We should do a episode, how to scale a business with some successful business owners we know. You know,
I think
like with
I
a
think it's
round
brilliant.
table.
Yeah,
Round table.
it's great, and I think and we're back to what we talked about in an earlier episode of surrounding yourself with people who are at your level or better than you, so that you can learn from them. So you get a round table of business owners in here who have done it right and done it wrong, or they've done both, and they know how to do that. I've told you, and I tell people all the time, truly successful people are not worried about you beating them. They're not worried about you taking their share of anything. If I'm truly successful, my goal is to give to you what I already got.
True.
Because I'm so confident in what I do that me and you talk about this with real estate. We don't have to compete. There's enough pieces of the pie that we can all have. Like we can all get our share. There's no, we're going to go after this person. If they choose William and they don't choose me, then we've got beef, or I've got an issue with that person.
No.
It's never about that. There's so much out there that somebody's got to adapt. And I'm going to help you adapt. You're going to help me adapt. Hey, look, this went that way. Here's why I would approach that the next time. And I would do it a little bit differently. Right. So we've talked about the confidence to start business. We've talked about, at the end, picking these pieces, training, everything in between. Once you are successful, then the next step is scaling or staying relevant. For you, I think you're getting to this point. How do you see yourself working to stay at the level that you're at, growing, and continuing to be relevant in this space?
Man, so that's a good question. The passion has to be there consistently, man. I'm not losing the passion at all. I think that having a company and a team weighs heavy on me, because I'm so empathetic to like their feelings and plights, and like when you deal with when you deal with other people, man, you have to, you hear a lot. You hear a lot of their problems, personal problems. So it's staying passionate, because I got my own struggles, daily life struggles, family, So like,
let me say this, because my wife works in an industry where she was essentially hired to come on and take a lot of stuff off the owner's plate.
Yeah.
And I think for me, talking to you, advising you, consulting you, is that you've got to find people to take stuff off your plate, because otherwise you can't do all these different things. But the business flourishes when you have somebody you can trust that can take some of those worries off your plate. You don't have to worry about the agent complaints. You don't have to worry about the agent plights. You can do the overall big picture training, but you bring somebody in that you trust that can really handle those things, and they handle that. And I think that's the scaling part, is when you start to remove yourself from the day to day, and then you have 4 people that handle that day to day. Well, then you can remove those 4 people. You're now 2 degrees removed, and you have people underneath them that can handle it. And I think growing that and scaling that I didn't mean to jump in and kind of take over. No,
I like that. I mean, that's something I'm brainstorming, but I think to sustain it, you have to be passionate about it. Mm-hmm. And what I was saying too is just like, sometimes I'm not burned out at all, but like a lot of issues, it gets overwhelming at times, So the passion has to sustain like every day, like you can't have off days, which you shouldn't. You shouldn't have off days, especially when you work for yourself. So, I mean, even I was working on my birthday, which is a holiday as well. So it's just like you don't get days off. So you have to have a good, sustainable passion for it. And I think that's the hardest part, is keeping that level. Because like if you were to say, hey, Will, look, I'll give you, $20 million to invest. Like, would you stay in real estate? And that's the question. I would look, the company would, but would I be this hands on? That's the question. And I always ask myself that, like, if you could step away, like, would you completely, And
I can answer that for you. The answer is no, you wouldn't step away completely.
Right.
But I think it's important to implement a process.
Yeah.
Because if you have process, systems, and procedures, those are the things that start to handle your issues. You don't deal with those small issues because your first question is, did you do this? Okay, you did that. Well, did you do that?
Do you know what's crazy is this is something I'm learning too. I don't ask you this. People get sensitive, man. People are sensitive, emotional. That's another thing about having a team. Like, I can say the same thing to everybody and they will probably all receive it differently. That's a lot. That's a lot to handle. So you're tiptoeing. I got eggshells. So it's different when you say, I still want the betterment for everybody. So I can say, hey, it's hard for me because I love tough love. I love like people talking shit to me, talk horrible to me, right? Like, give me the God honest truth. And I think that's the best way to push me. Everybody's not like that. You can't communicate to the same when you dealing with multiple people. So it's hard for me sometimes. And that's why I brought Gabe on. So Gabe runs like operations side. He's more gentle, talking to people. Like, he can convey things differently than I can. I love like abrasive shit talking. Get in my face and tell me the truth to make me better. If I'm not doing shit, tell me. Be like, yo, you're a piece of shit today. Like, I love that. Tell me I ain't shit. Like, tell me that I need to get my shit together and tell me how to do it. But if I say that, and that's the thing, like, I want to talk like that to everybody. But if I do that, people will leave. Like, people that say, oh, shit, I'll go to Keller Williams.
You have to have an understanding of the people beneath you. And everybody's different.
Yeah.
When I was coaching, I would try to be the opposite of what I knew they were getting at home. So if I knew that the player was getting in the car with mom and dad afterwards and they were getting reamed the whole way home, I knew I had to be gentle with that person and just say, look, I'm going to be the opposite of what you get, because that's what you're going to respond to.
Right.
You've turned off.
That's true.
You've turned off that abrasiveness.
Hey, that's so true.
If
But
you
that's
got mom
still
and dad,
hard, though.
But if you
man.
got mom and dad saying, "Oh, you did your best. You're so good. I'm so proud of you. You had 8 turnovers. You fouled out in 7 minutes.
Right.
And all you did was shoot air balls.
Yeah.
You're horrible.
Yeah,
like, I've got to jump on you, because all I know, you're being told how good that is at home.
Right.
So even in the business world, I think not only do you have to have a mentality to jump in different disciplines for different agents and different employees, I think you have to understand that it may take a Gabe.
Yeah.
Because
and shout out to Gabe. Shout out to Gabe Pratt too. But man, that's the thing too, is I know, but it's hard. So this is the thing too. When I wake up, like, and Blaine goes to school, Blaine and Allie leave the house, I turn a switch on. Like, you kind of have to turn it on, And from that moment, I'm just like in overdrive. And so that's why when people, may ask me a question I deem to be stupid because you should have been in training for this, it makes me want to say, what the heck is wrong with you? Why are you asking me this dumbass question? This doesn't need to be asked after you've been this tenured in the game.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Please.
Who was in charge of the dumbass training?
Me. This is the thing. The training's not dumbass. They don't do it. That's the part that's frustrating with me. The training's not. It's kind of like if I lay some stuff out.
So here's what I'm saying.
And it's not getting done.
But you didn't connect for whatever reason. Maybe it is impossible for you.
Maybe my training regimen is shitty.
But it's different for different people.
But
so
your
approach wasn't working.
I kind of like pride myself on the training, like, because one of the premises of my entire company is, look, here, here's data statistics, with 80% of agents not making it after a year, two, 90% damn near year 5. This is why agents fail. It's in the whole man. So I say, don't do this, do this, right? This is what will make you stand out. And then from there, my whole premise is an educational, a purpose driven company. Educate the clients. Everybody out here that's a consumer is fairly clueless to most things real estate. Clueless as hell. Don't know how it works. If we can have a leg up and say, look, this is how you do this with a passion and empathy. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but that's where that's the training.
Listen, I know.
And that's where I'm like,
for
where's our
people
sushi
listening
at,
who
man?
don't know what's happening in your business and our relationship, you're one of the most empathetic. You may be the most empathetic business owner
I'm
I've ever
sensitive
met.
and emotional. I'm a Cancer.
Well, I wasn't gonna go there, but you're
I don't
incredibly
believe in signs.
empathetic, and you go often way too far for people that I think you should have let go a long time ago.
Yeah.
So me coming at you and saying it's on you is not about it being on you.
But
It's just a different
that's
way to
the
look
thing.
at things.
I truly think it is on me because if I wake up and I say, hey, look, and this is something I struggle with, being very transparent. If I wake up and say, here's your training regimen, I'll pay for it. Y'all go training, I'll pay for it. Free training. Here's a manual to get your foundation. Maybe I am just a shitty trainer. I sometimes I wake up and say that, or is it I guess I'm thinking, damn, I don't want to put it on the people.
What you just described was the teacher giving the worksheet packet.
Hey, you're right.
And saying you better kill the test.
But maybe I'm putting them but how do people survive? If I just drop them in the jungle and I say, make it back to the beach. Take the machetes and the M16s and make it back to the beach. That's kind of what Corey did with me too. Corey, man, was the best damn trainer. And this is how I know everybody won't
that's why
respond
you are
to
where
that.
you are.
His training was, I called him a question. Hey, man, how do I, what does this mean? And he was like, read the damn contract. All the answers are in there.
Oh, you know what used to make me hot when I was a kid? When I would ask somebody what something meant, and the response I got at home was, go look it up in the dictionary. You need that.
Yeah.
But I stopped asking questions and I started reading.
That's it. And I had a teacher, man. Her name was Miss Felicia Berry. Shout out to Miss Felicia. She told me too, before you ask a question, try to figure out the answer yourself. She told me that at Tractor Supply Company when I was working in customer service. I guess I was asking too many dumbass questions, but she was like, before you ask, figure it out. And that's kind of something I've always lived by too. Shout out to her for putting that in my head. But it makes so much sense. And Corey kind of said the same thing. It was like, yo, if you're trying to figure this out, just read the damn contract.
Well, you have a desire to be a self-sufficient person.
But that's it too. And also, it goes back to what you were saying on the episodes together. What's your purpose? If it is your wife and your kid, you can say that you're cool with failing them. That's the thing that loses me, man, with this. And I do doubt myself, second guess myself. Damn, am I a shitty trainer or am I surrounding myself with and again, everybody. The caveat here too. Everybody I have now is hustling right now. Everybody is hustling. I'm speaking just of everything else. The agents I have now are really grinding and getting after it. But this is just my battle from the beginning.
Well, and I think you have a lot of people. It's important to understand that a lot of people. We talked about the fear in the beginning of starting your own business. A lot of people are paralyzed by fear and failure when it comes to their own business, when it comes to working for you, when it comes to working for anybody. As soon as they meet that first bit of fear, they want to take a step back and they're paralyzed by it.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's the same reason that you paused when you're starting your business. It's the same reason I haven't started a brokerage. It's a fear.
But this is what I'm saying. Is that something in Western society? Why do you think that people are so damn afraid to leave the 9-to-5 shit? Why do you think? Because
I'm not aware of a bunch of people leaving 9 to 5 in Eastern society and making it.
No. I'm saying I think that in Western society, mainly because we live here, and I know I'm speaking because I've been listening to like people over in Dubai and stuff. I think that we are very dependent here on the American dream system. And I think that fear, a circumvented kind of through like this is what you're supposed to be doing, and that's why everybody's like, go to college, get a degree, stand up straight and get in line, go get married, go get a house, go have a kid, die, retire at 65, live, give or take 15 years, and then you die. And then your kids do the same damn thing and leave a decent amount of legacy. You probably bought a couple homes, they live off of that. But I'm saying in Western society, that's it.
Most people are comfortable just being comfortable.
But I think that's where that is the fear.
100%.
And I'm saying I don't know if I don't know if something had. And again, I haven't studied this. If the higher powers put something in play to keep everybody in place and have that fear in us, because imagine if we were a society of self-sustainable, self-sufficient, grinding, hustling people that wanted more. And I think that a big part of me too says maybe that's where Gen Z is going. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna say something that's
how long is
we're
this
gonna move on.
going?
It's going. We're getting to the end, but
Is our sushi here? Oh, the sushi's here.
From a systemic standpoint, we're not gonna make this a 2-hour episode.
How long have we been rolling?
We're
how long? Oh yeah, let's wrap this up.
That's a systemic issue, and
you think so?
We're not going to get too deep into that because this will go another hour. But I think it's a systemic issue that people are afraid or they've been conditioned to not excel, to not try to excel because they watched somebody else do it and fail, and they didn't want that embarrassment. They didn't want that failure. So back to when building a business, building a team, I think you've got to have the confidence to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to put the training in place. You've got to get past the fear of being paralyzed by that. You've got to build those relationships, and then you've got to constantly adapt. You have to constantly adapt, and whether it's adapting to the business structure and business strategy, or whether it's adapting to the employees that you hire to build out and making sure that they're successful. There's a ton of things that lead to scaling businesses or failing businesses. And I think it's important when you're picking pieces and all the things in between that you are constantly asking yourself and being accountable to, am I a business that's scaling or am I a business that's failing? And those things are questions that need to be asked, not daily, but weekly, monthly. You talk about setting goals for yourself, and that's an easy way to assess that.
Great question. I mean, no, that's and another thing I would add too is you have to be vulnerable and ready to fail, and you have to be welcome failure. Like you have to experiment with the market, depending on your industry, of course, and welcome failure and learn from it. That's another thing too. I would add on into that into the list is you have to fail, and when you 100%. do fail, don't give up, and like you said, transition. But you have to welcome failure and learn from it. And because when you fail, like it's damn near a beautiful thing, because you're like, okay, this didn't work. I can go this angle now. I don't have to spend any more time here, And I know that seems hard for people to say, damn, I failed. And a lot of people get down in the dumps. But that's something I learned is when you fail, if something doesn't work, there's a lesson in that failure. And you could take that lesson, stand on it, and succeed in other locations. But yeah.
That's beautiful. Let's wrap up this episode. Listen,
let's get this.
Everybody
sushi.
Listening, if you're thinking about jumping into the real estate business, you're thinking about joining a team, you're thinking about starting a team, you have questions about starting businesses. We connect with the people that we have on this show, the people we talk with all the time. So we are constantly learning, adapting, and growing ourselves, whether it's our own businesses or our knowledge within business development. So please reach out to us. Instagram for me, Josh Goodwin, Realtor. William is
William Basquiat. Yeah, and also too, brainstorming out loud. We need to do we need to do an event for like investors and people in different industries too, and not like a mixer. I'm talking like a real event where we have people come speak and learn. And I got something up our sleeve that we can.
So be on the lookout for that. Something coming soon. A business symposium on building your own business, growing your business, and being successful and being self-sufficient. So thank you guys for joining us on Equity Brothers Podcast, episode 4.
Episode 4.
We'll see you in a few weeks for episode 5.
Thank you.
Until then, Nashville Barrel Company. Somebody hit us up.
Hey, this is delicious too. This is really good. I wasn't expecting it to be this good.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Peace.
Anything is possible. Yeah. Trying to get a lot of dough and dirt through all the obstacles, cause anything is possible. Hey. Oh man, I got a lot